booth right now.
Go. Hello, I'm Moderator, and today I'm joined with Chesser, and we are going to be casting Triumvirate versus Galaxy Spiritus.
It's going to be a little bit difficult on my end. I'm facing a few UI issues, which are totally my fault in nature. So Moderator's probably going to be taking the lead here, and I'll chime in when I can. Mod, why don't you tell us what's on the field?
Yeah, no worries. So Galaxy Spiritus was a team that had to fill in for the block at the last minute, so they have brought in Armor Dominic's Navy team, supported by a core of just Galente ships on the whole. And then Triumvirate is favoring a interesting mix of Hyperion battleships, a Drake Navy issue, as well as some support in the form of Spiples and a Basilisk.
Triumvirate really has me confused. Hyperions, I don't see those very often in the Alliance tournament at all, and it makes me a little worried against Vindicator and double Navy Dommies, which can provide quite a lot of drone DPS, although only Tech 1, but they do have blasters as well. Are you thinking that the Hyperions can hold against the Galaxy team, Mod?
Honestly, I'm not entirely sure, and with them being an armor-tanking ship traditionally in a shield comp, it's raising a few red flags for me. Having said that, the Hyperions are in at 0 against Dominic's Navy issues, where they will fare very well with their blaster damage being applied perfectly at that close of a range.
I wonder if Triumvirate was so overcome with emotion and anxiety that they maybe made a mistake and or didn't really think through what this setup is, because shield Hyperions, I just don't think, unless they're active armor fit in a shield setup, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, seems to be a little bit confusing. The Navy Drakes can provide links, but they don't have a bonus to armor, so I don't know. I'm really confused on the Triumvirate side. I think Galaxy Spiritus, if I was on their side, I'd be feeling really happy, almost overjoyed looking at what Triumvirate has brought. But run me down Navy Dominic's as well, Mod. I don't see those in the tournament either very often. Why is that?
Yeah, that's because this year only Tech 1 drones are allowed, and with that, the damage is not that appreciable out of them. Off the very bat, we see the NUs immediately darting for the Basilisk and then blowing past it for of Triumvirate. However, Triumvirate is already putting excellent damage onto the Thalius of Eva on the Galaxy Spiritus side, and it looks like he should be popping shortly. The blaster battleships are then favoring Protonchik in his Dominic's Navy issue, but Griffin's taking some appreciable damage on the Tri side and is managing to hold under rep so far. Let's see if that manages to continue.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this Basilisk is going to go down or even be very useful at all. Hyperion's taking heavy damage already. King Voodoo going down. And it's going to be interesting to see if he has like a secondary armor tank or some weird structure tank. But as it stands right now, if these battleships drop as quickly as it looks like they're dropping, I think Triumvirate's in a lot of trouble here, because Galaxy Spiritus has some very, very thick tank coming from the Navy Dommies. Regardless of their T1 drones or not, they still have a lot of EHP. And of course, the Vindicator, which is now ramming the Hyperion, he's control spaced appropriately and isn't moving or MWDing around. His nerves aren't getting to him. He's going to be applying full blaster DPS to this Hyperion, and it's melting quickly.
Yeah, Galaxy Spiritus is actually playing this rather excellently for a team that had to sub in at the very last minute. They're doing an excellent job, and I have to question whether or not the Hyperions made a mistake and accidentally got on the wrong ships.
That's the only thing I can assume, because it seems to me that they're dropping too quickly to be a shield setup, and I don't see them catching any reps, and they just absolutely are falling right through their armor and structure. Definitely not structure tanked, and their armor is non-existent, especially for a ship that has a quite impressive active armor tank backbone bonus. I'm a little disappointed in this. I think Galaxy Spiritus is, at this point, probably, shirts over heads, running around the room, claiming victory, and I think Triumvirate is trying to stop the hemorrhage of ships that they are currently losing to Galaxy.
Having said that, the Thalius went down earlier for Galaxy Spiritus, and they just lost in Enio, I believe, so with that, they're going to be struggling to maintain any reps, but it looks like that's not going to be too much of an issue as Triumvirate loses a Drake Navy issue through the shields.
Yeah, I almost want to say that losing both Thalias while killing both of their Hyperions was an excellent trade, and if I was Galaxy, I'd be feeling pretty happy about it, just because, oh wow, this Drake's falling just as fast too. I think whether this is a DPS race or not, the Navy Domics, the Navy Dommies, one isn't even gone yet. So basically, Galaxy still has their full DPS to bear against Triumvirate, who are just absolutely losing all of their DPS. Because once the Southern Navy Drake is down, assuming
Triumvirate has nothing left.
Yeah, they're gonna have absolutely nothing left. Two Zwippels is not gonna be able to take down what Galaxy has.
This is an absolutely insane upset. Galaxy Spiritus has almost in their entire core remaining, and the fight is already dropping. Griffin's going to drop shortly.
This Drake is going down too, Maud. This is ridiculous. I would love to know what Triumvirate was thinking with these Hyperions. I wonder if it was a case of just really, really bad nerves.
I mean, I can't assume anything other than that. I can't possibly think of a reason why you'd bring a Hyperion into a shield setup.
You know, there's not a lot said about nerves, decision-making, and what adrenaline and stress does to you. You know, you can see it. Seasoned tournament pilots, seasoned professionals in just competitive environments in general, you can see the big difference that their mindset has and their ability to stay calm and cool under pressure. And the AT really brings that out. It's a completely new level of the PvP shakes. Maud, do you remember when you were first flying in your first tournament, or had any intense moments where maybe your thought process wasn't going as fast, or some stupid mistakes happened? Has that ever happened to you or someone you know?
I was very nervous, admittedly, in my first tournament run when I was captaining the Exos team in AT11, but I managed to keep them generally under control. I had a lot of practice backing me up and knew kind of what to do under pressure, but it seems that Triumvirate really doesn't know what to do under pressure. We see the rest of their core is rapidly falling, with Feipel into low shields, going to fall shortly, and nothing's taking any appreciable damage on the Galactic Spiritus side. One of their Stardies, it even seems, has boundary violated himself somehow. So,
yeah, I think Galaxy, in their absolute flood of joy and serendipity, has kind of a little bit lost control of their ships. But I think at this point it actually doesn't matter that much. I think Galaxy has this one very comfortably in the bag at this point, assuming the edge of the arena doesn't get to them first. But Triumvirate, they must be just crushed, just a sinking feeling in their stomach. I mean, I cannot imagine how you feel. You know, you prepare, at least I assume, for the Alliance tournament. In the first match, you come in and you completely mismatched, a complete quagmire, and now you're in the loser's bracket already. Difficult to kind of come back from that. I mean, like, it's one thing to lose a hard-fought match, but to lose a match because of incompetence really, I think, does a thing for morale, and it's going to be difficult, I think, for Triumvirate coming in the next matches, especially in the losers bracket, to kind of bring it back and say, okay, guys, we made a mistake, but let's put a good foot forward, let's go strong, and continue on in the tournament. Do you find that to be the same on your side as well, Maud, with your thinking, or what do you think's going on here with Tri?
I think they're going to be tilted beyond belief. I mean, they were coming to this tournament as, I believe, a top 6 or 7 seed into the event. Granted, most of that team has moved on to create WeForm Volta, but they still have the Triumvirate name, and they have just gotten absolutely wrecked by a team that showed up with a one-day notice to this tournament. I wouldn't know what to do if I were in their shoes, and this is just so weird. It's a crushing victory.
Yeah, the one thing I have to say is 3 ATXIV PBL4, the Vindicator pilot on Galaxy. I'm really impressed with what he's doing, as well as the Navy Dominix pilots. I see a lot of pilots that orbit with battleships or leave prop mods on with battleships, and these guys have been getting right into range, control spacing, going to 0, and you can see the difference. You can see the Vindicator just leveling ships the second that happens, because when pilots who are maybe not as practiced or unaware or overwhelmed with a lot of other things, they keep moving their ship, they click orbit, they keep a prop mod on. The damage that a Vindicator loses by orbiting close or by moving is so significant against smaller ships, and it's really nice to see Galaxy, just kind of this no-name team coming out of nowhere and just crushing Triumvirate with some really nice piloting, I mean, from the ground up, and I really like to see that. I wanted to just point it out that both the Vindicator and the Navy Dominix pilots, from what I've seen, have done very, very well in that regard. It kind of makes up for the Astarte boundering itself, at least in my book.
Yeah, just to echo what Chester is saying, we're seeing some really disciplined and experienced play. This is exactly what you'd expect out of a rather well-practiced top 16 team coming into this event. What's your take on that?
I disagree. I mean, top 16 team, I'm not sure. I see some nice battleship piloting. I disagree with Galaxy's comp. I think they're very far behind the meta currently, and I dislike some of the choices that they've made, as the fact that they don't have any, like, I don't like Tech 2 Frigology all that much. It can work, but it requires extremely well piloted and well communicated team comps, and a lot of things can break down very quickly. End of the match right now, so we'll talk about that later, but Galaxy Spiritus, 100-31, very, very strong start.
Yeah, with that, we'll send it back to the studio.